Nationwide campaign calling attention to solitary confinement stopped in Madison today. The Journey to Justice bus tour is crossing the country. WMTV's Shannon Najawin joins us live in the newsroom with how community organizers say the issue hits close to home right here in Dane County. Shana?
Cameron, today's stop is part of a cross-country push to raise awareness about what organizers call inhumane and unnecessary punishment. The bus brought an immersive experience to Madison, letting visitors step inside a model solitary cell and hear the stories of those who've lived it.
This bus is a part of a national campaign to advocate against the continued use of solitary confinement.
Organizers say the 8-week Journey to Justice tour is meant to give people a first-hand look at what life inside solitary confinement can feel like, from the cramped space to the haunting sounds heard inside.
We also have our solitary confinement replica that we often have in communities so that people can visit to see the conditions that people have to survive in.
James Morgan with Moses, or Madison, organizing strength, equity, and solidarity for criminal legal systems reform, says the issue isn't just about what happens behind bars.
It's a huge expenditure, unnecessary for the taxpayers, okay? And then there's other components to it that once individuals are released into community that also have a huge cost.
He says advocates want to see more humane and effective approaches that prioritize de-escalation and rehabilitation.
Let's see how we can train our corrections people and our law enforcement on how to de-escalate these things.
It's about 75% or more of the women that are incarcerated are actually suffering from some type of trauma.
Another organizer, Jessica Jacobs, says the issue especially impacts women, many of whom face layers of trauma before they even enter the criminal legal system.
People who have mental health issues or substance abuse issues, and when they go through that process, they get treated like animals.
Advocates are urging the public to listen, learn, and contact lawmakers.
People are being tortured inside in the prisons here in the country and here in Wisconsin, especially.
Organizers say Madison's stop is part of building momentum for a bill that would limit or abolish solitary confinement statewide. And they're calling on residents to use their voices and their votes to demand change. Live in the newsroom, Shana Najawin, WMTV 15 News.
Shana, thank you. The Journey to Justice bus is now headed for Detroit as part of its tour.